Hello, and welcome back to the Bakersfield Condors Michael Kesselring Jersey Quest franchise mode. As you can see here, we are kind of in the early days of free agency, and you can kind of see there the Calder Cup champions were not Bakersfield Condors, it was the Grand Rapids Griffins. This is kind of going to be a quick kind of recap of the 2022-23 season, and kind of how Mike Kesselring did, and kind of how he did, like the season went, and kind of free agency and whatnot. So let's kind of get into it. So let me just pull up my little spreadsheet so I kind of have all the information. So kind of in terms of the regular season, so I kind of like kind of just like as an aside, the past couple franchise, the kind of series have been like in like kind of NHL 13, NHL 11, like older games. I feel like the kind of the main screen had a lot more kind of information on it than kind of this one does, but it is what it is. So kind of looking at the kind of the standings one. So there we go. We finished with the 38, 24, and 10 record, which was good for 86 points and kind of fourth spot in the Pacific Division, which is good enough to make the playoffs. Kind of the AHL has like an absolute ton of trophies because basically they have the equivalent to like the President's Trophy, and then like a trophy that like each team like wins as like the top of the division the regular season gets. So the President's Trophy equivalent, which is the I think is it this one? Let me see. This is so many. I have to like count my spreadsheet. Yeah. So the McGregor Kilpatrick Trophy, which is like the equivalent to the President's Trophy for best team in the regular season, went to the Utica Comets, who finished with 107 points in the regular season. They also got the Frank S. Mathers Trophy, which is like top team in the North Division at the end of the regular season, with their 107 points. The Norman R. Bud Poyle Trophy is like the Pacific Division, which is the division we're in. That went to the Coachella Valley Firebirds, who finished with 102 points. The Sam Pollock Trophy went to the Chicago Wolves for the Central Division, kind of leader of the regular season. They finished with 91 points. Here, I kind of got to pull them up here also. I think of that. So you can see that he is the Calder Cup. Grand Rapids Griffins, the McGregor Kilpatrick, which is the regular season points leader. Sorry for repeating this, but I kind of forgot. The one advantage of this, I guess, kind of these more modern games, it has like all these kind of trophies and stuff in it for you guys to see. So the Comets won that, regular season points champion. As I said, Frank S. Mathers for the Eastern Conference. Utica Comets. Norman Robert Poyle. All those specifics, sorry, that's the Western Conference in general, which is the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and now these are the Division ones, I think, right? Yeah, Sam Pollock is the Central Division winner, as said, the Chicago Wolves, 91 points. John D. Chick is the Pacific, which, as I said, Coachella Valley finished with 102 points. Emil Francis is the Atlantic Division, which is the Springfield Thunderbirds. They finished with 94 points. And there's the North Division 1 FG Teddy Oak Trophy, which went to the Utica Comets. That's kind of then the Eastern Conference playoff champion was the Hartford Wolfpack, who lost to the Grand Rapids Griffins in the Calder Cup Finals. So here, there, obviously, the Grand Rapids Griffins were the Western Conference kind of playoff champion. And they're there. In terms of the NHL, kind of just quickly showed who won the Stanley Cup, which actually was kind of in tune with real life. The Vegas Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup this season in the game, and they did win the 2023 Stanley Cup in real life, so it's kind of a fun coincidence that they were able to do that. In terms of individual awards, they'll kind of go through some of how our season went in terms of like leading scorer and whatnot, but as you can see here, Dylan Holloway won the John B. Sullenberger Trophy for us, which is the equivalent to the Art Ross, which is like the most points in the regular season. So he was our top scorer in the regular season with 27 goals, 40 assists for 67 points in total. And he, as I kind of just said there, he was the leading scorer for the entire AHL. So he picked up that trophy, picked up the MVP award as well for the AHL, and then the equivalent to the Rocket Richard for most goals. Rookie of the Year, we kind of skip over. These will kind of show up there, you guys can see. But if they don't have like a Condors player, I kind of quickly just scroll through them. There you go, as you can see that. In terms of like Kesselring's actual stats, I'll pull those up here. It would be defenseman. There he is, Michael Kesselring. Finished with 8 goals and 11 assists for 19 points in 65 games. He missed some time, I think, at like end of January, beginning of February with like an arm injury. So he didn't play the full 72 games, but yeah, he finished with 8 goals, 11 assists, 19 points, playing on the first pair. And he has a plus minus of 12, which is pretty decent. He was paired with Philip Broberg here. kind of in terms of, I guess, 'cause, like, I didn't really mention at the beginning of this, but I will kind of mention it now because I did afterwards. Like, this game does, you know, have the coaching staff feature and whatnot. So what I kind of did for the coaching staff is I was going to hire someone. Kind of ignore this. It's a little bit of a mess because I was kind of moving people around to try and get, like, someone to sign and whatnot. But, actually, did I, like, resend a new contract offer? No, I did. Here we go. We're going to do a little live, like, hiring coaches thing, or it's a forward. You're probably fine. Here we go. Yeah, so what I kind of ended up doing was our AHL head coach, A. Lewis, which is Antoine Lewis, started out as, I think, like our NHL assistant or associate coach. And I was kind of like trying to hire coaches, like, and none of them wanted to come for like whatever reason that like kind of matched up their scheme, matched up with Michael Kesselring's kind of fit, which is, if you scroll down here, because pinch balanced is kind of what Michael Kesselring's like preferences are. So he like matches perfectly coincidentally with like our, who was like our AHL like assistant coach's like scheme fit. So I kind of made him AHL head coach and whatnot. So it kind of worked out nicely that way because like we're kind of just, and like if you look at his like scheme, it's like pretty much like it's like balanced like almost all over the place, which kind of makes it easier to build like a roster, which is nice. Yeah, so Kesselring's kind of our first pair, even though he's like not the highest rated defenseman, right B on our roster, but is what is. He did a pretty good job. And then this guy here, who's like moved up, he's actually like our one of our like AHL assistant or associate coaches. Then we've got to hire like one that's forwards also. The NHL stuff I really don't care about because again, this is like an AHL focused thing, so the NHL doesn't really matter at all in terms of that kind of stuff. So kind of with that in mind also, kind of as we go into like kind of after the season, kind of off-season moves and whatnot. The draft, we like did 4 picks. We had like I think 6. We like were missing like our 4th round pick, I think. Like I picked with like in the first round, 26th overall, a left wing. In the second round, I picked a right winger that was CPU generated. The first guy was Nord H. I don't know how you pronounce his name. It's like Nord with an H at the end. He's like an actual person from real life. The last names were all like game generated players. There's a right winger, a center, 90th overall, and then a right defenseman, 154th overall, who is also a gem. So he hopefully could turn into something nice for us in the AHL. Kind of in terms of free agency and whatnot, I kind of went a little balls to the wall because again, as I don't really care about the NHL stuff. Like all I really need there is basically have like a roster of like 12 forwards, 6 defensemen with like a 13th and a 7th that are kind of meh, and like goalies and whatnot. So what I kind of did was, because like McDavid's obviously got like the first line center, but Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins also kind of their role in game is first line center. So I was like, might as well get rid of them in a trade, see if I can get like picks and prospects or anything like that in return to kind of finish out the rest of the roster and kind of help us out in the AHL. So Leon Draisaitl I traded to the Ottawa Senators for Alex DeBrincat, who kind of became like the NHL first line right winger for like 7 years for kind of locked down there. Don't have to worry about that at all. A 2024 first round pick. Jake Sanderson, who kind of slots in as the NHL second pair left defenseman alongside Evan Bouchard, so that's kind of taken care of. And then Ridley Gregg, who is like a left winger prospect who kind of, we'll see, I needed like a first line left winger for the AHL, kind of to try one out, so it was like, that was like an open spot for our AHL roster, so he's kind of going there. So that was a pretty big haul for Draisaitl, 2 roster players, a first and a good prospect, which I'll take. And then from Arizona, it was a little more NHL focused just because I was like Nugent Hopkins' value wasn't as high, so I couldn't ask for as much. And I was like, I'd rather kind of do this to fill out the value there. And then kind of just work in free agency because there's always like a decent chunk of like 70-something overall guys in like free agency that are like young players that can work in the AHL. So I was like, they're trying to fill out the NHL roster that way. So I traded Nugent Hopkins to the Arizona Coyotes for McKelly, who kind of can slot in on the third line left wing. A 2024 second, and then Barrett Hayton, who can be like our second line center and grow into that role, kind of in the NHL, kind of do whatever there. Kind of NHL free agency, the last thing is I basically did like a 4th line, so I got Matt Nieto, Trent Frederick, and Jonas Donskoy to fill in there. In terms of the AHL, what I really, Holloway and Clem Costin are 2 players who kind of are going to graduate up to the NHL level in various spots. So I kind of need a kind of first line left winger, another center, which I kind of promoted from within, and then a couple of right wingers and some defensemen. So kind of our free agency signings. We go here to view contracts in the system. So yeah, I needed some right wingers, so I went out and got Vitaly Kravtsov in free agency on a 1-year deal, and Joachim Blichfield also on a 1-year deal. So I'm gonna kind of sign most of these guys to 1-year deals, see if they fit with the coach's scheme in the areas I need players in. They do, we'll keep them around. They don't, they'll kind of play out the season and kind of get either traded at the draft or something, or just let go and replace with other players. Then, as I said, the other place we needed people was defense. So I got Ronnie Attard on a 1-year deal and Oli Ulevi on a 1-year deal as well to kind of round out the defense. In terms of free agent signings, that was kind of in terms of free agent signings. So kind of expectations for next season. Oh, I kind of even, Jesus, I did all this without kind of explaining what happened to us in the playoffs. Apologies for that. So let's do that, I guess, quick. I'll pull up the playoff tree. That's a little easier to look at here. Boom. This is weird, I guess. I don't know why it does that. Maybe I'm messing something up in the settings. But the HL playoff format's a lot more complicated than this. With this weird, because Pacific Division has 10 teams in it and stuff. So there's weird 4 of these kind of traditional first round, second round conference finals, like the NHL playoffs. There's another usual round outside there, but it's not in the game for whatever reason. So it kind of started us out in the first round. We got matched up against Coachella Valley and lost in 5 games. We won game 3 2-1. They won the other games 1, 2, 4, 2, and 3-2. Game 4 3-2, and game 5 2-0. Of those games 2, 3, and 4 were all overtime games. So hypothetically, we could have gotten to game 5 with a 3-1 series lead, but we lost games 2 and 4 in overtime, kind of unluckily, and that kind of screwed us over. So our kind of rival for next season is Coachella Valley. So I'll kind of play next season, kind of expectations I'll play. It was away. We lost game 5 was at Coachella Valley's arena, so I'll play all of our away games against Coachella Valley next season, the regular season, and then potentially the playoffs if we get them. The kind of expectations is, I think, with kind of our, for the HL, pretty stacked roster, just because of overalls and mixed of kind of veteran players who were in the 70s overall and stuff. We should hypothetically make the playoffs again without really much trouble like we did this season. We were 7 points clear of the San Jose Barracuda and 5th in the Pacific, so we should kind of make the playoffs no problem. So I did have some kind of AHL only contract guys that were there from the beginning, filling in a couple spots throughout the lineup to kind of just make up the numbers and fit the scheme better and whatnot. And kind of because the NHL roster had no one on it for me moving players around. So some our AHL players that didn't really fit the scheme, or had players that were better that fit the scheme in their spot. One with the NHL and kind of were all the 3rd and 4th lines. We had a bunch of 72 overall players in the 3rd and 4th line in the NHL. But yeah, so next season we should kind of hopefully make the playoffs comfortably and hopefully kind of go on a deeper run than the first round and hopefully kind of win the Calder Cup. Kind of Michael Kesselring overall didn't really go up much from 72, so we shouldn't really have to worry too much about him kind of growing out of the AHL level too quickly. So hopefully we can kind of win the Calder Cup next season, or if not, we should be fine to keep going and kind of keep trying to win the Calder Cup. But that's kind of it for the season. I'll kind of end it. Let's pull up Michael Kesselring's kind of stuff again real quick. Kind of just to end off on with the screen. Where is he at? There he is, Michael Kesselring. Big boy at 6'5", 224. He's pretty fun as to play in the game TVH because you can just truck people with him. Yeah, but there he is. Kind of next so next season hopefully we can kind of win Calder Cup here with Michael Kesselring and the Bakersfield Condors. But if not, we'll kind of be in the next episode will kind of be in the same position we were. This episode, we're kind of recapping the season, going through free agency moves and whatnot. But thank you to anyone who watched this, and I hope you watch the next episode as well.